Hello friends, it's a new week, same me, same Volkswagen Eurovan studio, which was a great idea until it turned into winter. To be honest, I'm a little bit cold. Anyway, this time around we're talking about bang for the buck or values. Basically, you know how a bunch of cars in the classic market have gone way up in price and you're like, why are people paying that much for that? This is the opposite. And the truth is, if you look around, you can usually find the same basic idea as those cars that have gotten expensive for a lot less money. And speaking of looking around, why don't you take a visit over to HemmingsAuctions.com. We have something for every price and every taste, including the cars I'm going to talk about this week. Like the 1971 to 1974 Dodge Charger. When it comes to classic Chargers, the 68 to 70 gets all the attention, partially because of those big wing Daytonas and also them Duke boys. And the special versions of that second generation car go well into the six figures. There are expensive 71 to 74 Chargers too, but it's a lot easier to find examples at more accessible prices. And while it's not quite as iconic, these still look awesome, especially in person. One reason why these are easier to shop for is that after 1971, the big engine options started to fade away. You could still get a 440 V8 in 1973 with 280 horsepower, but it wasn't quite the same smorgasbord of Hemmings and six-packs that you had in the 60s. But if you want bang for the buck, you're not looking for a blue-chip Mopar anyway. The third-gen Charger is still pure classic muscle, and it's much more accessible, whether you want one in stock form, restored, or a project starter. This 1971 car, for example, was restored to RT specification and sold for $21,011. There's no way you're going to get that much car for the money in a 1969 model year. My second pick this week is the Chevy Suburban, specifically the 1973 to 1991 years, but Suburbans of all ages typically go for less money than other stuff that's been swept up in the SUV craze. And if you don't believe me, try looking for a Blazer, a Ford Bronco, or a Toyota Land Cruiser without rust and see how those prices compare. And even for the same money, you get a lot of dollar per pound in the Suburban. Considering that everybody drives a car that's way bigger than they actually need, that should make these pretty popular. The other thing Suburbans have going for them is they made a lot, and they share a lot of parts with Chevy trucks. That means plenty of options when it comes to mixing and matching looks, and really good parts supply, whether you're going to keep it running or do something ambitious like an engine swap or transmission swap. We've sold 3 7th-generation Suburbans so far, including this clean California example with a 454 for just $13,125. Going back to cars, let's talk about the Jaguar XJS. They made a lot of these over a long time too, 1975 to 1996. First as a coupe, briefly with a Targa option, and then they added a convertible in 1986. Fun trivia, those early drop tops were special order conversions built by Hess and Eisenhart of Ohio, a company historically known for making armored vehicles for the president, other heads of state, and the US military. Anyway, this is one of the most affordable ways to cross the V12 off your bucket list, although there is some truth to the idea that there's no such thing as an affordable V12. Still, XJSs go for less money than comparable two-door luxury, like say a Mercedes-Benz SL or a Porsche 928. And there's a reason for that, which is people are terrified of working on these. And yeah, sure, you might go insane trying to track down a coolant leak or, maybe end up buying your mechanic a second home, but I think that reputation is a little bit overblown. I mean, any classic that hasn't been cared for can be a nightmare, not just the British ones. And with the XJS, you can always do a small block swap. Anyway, if you do still love this car but are scared of the V12, keep an eye out for the 6-cylinder version, which they sold in the US starting in 1987. We sold this 1994 inline 6 with a rare manual option for $14,858. And again, a comparable rare, clean Benz definitely costs more than that, at least up front. And last this week, trucks. I keep talking about trucks as a great option because they're a usable second car and also a classic. Maybe that means I want a truck. I'll think about that. But you should think about Chevy and GMC CKs. One thing that makes trucks more affordable than, say, a muscle car is there weren't really any super special engine options that now go for big money and drive prices up across the board. You're still going to pay a premium for a clean, original, or restored truck with a good spec, but the point is you don't have to depending on what you want. You can even make trucks better to drive because the suspension upgrades for muscle cars have started to trickle over, like coil spring conversions for the front and 4-link kits for the rear. Even if you look at trucks that already have resto mod work, they're usually less than a resto mod car. Getting back to the main idea here, though, is you can get a rugged, reliable truck that you can drive to Cars and Coffee on your way to pick up supplies for a weekend project for a lot less than a lot of classic cars. Like this 1972 GMC Sierra with sweet two-tone paint that we sold for $12,075. That's all for this week. If you've got some other hidden gems you'd like me to highlight in another video, be sure to let me know in the comments. And in the meantime, please visit HemmingsAuctions.com. We have brand new listings going up every day, plus premium classifieds you can buy right now, and an email newsletter to get that goodness in your inbox every single morning. Thanks for watching. See you next time.